Football! That's soccer for us Americans. Hello again. Welcome to another Toku Ramblings as we begin the very long and arduous trek through Gaim's numerous extended universe stuff, starting with the Winter Movie War and the Summer film. So first up we have Sengoku movie, the faithful Sengoku movie battle, because we just can't no wait, scratch. It's not movie war, it's movie battle. You see, it's totally different. Yeah, the intro couldn't tell you. I actually think Wizard's portion of this is a lot better. So, Wizard's portion is about this never before mentioned Phantom, the Ogre Phantom, who wants to become the strongest Phantom and says sights on Haruto's dragon. So he takes the ring that he takes Koyomi's ring that he's still trying to find a place to put it to rest, but then the Ogre Phantom takes it and he comes back to Japan to meet up with his other friends, and then Koyomi shows up and is more or less angry at until it transforms into her own version of the White Mage. So he's got to deal with that. I will give credit is due. It is arguably a nice tie-in to the end of the original series, tying up that loose end in comparison to a lot of other movie wars, which just feel like new stories that don't really offer for much, but it's nice that Koyomi has a much bigger role in this film than she probably had throughout the entirety of the main series, and it does give Haruto a decently nice final villain, showing a more emotional side and having to confront me and finally letting or moving on with his life. Though, just because I say this is the better portion doesn't mean Wizard's issues sort of still hold it back. Again, a lot of the characters just show up not to do much. The mages just get beaten up by Ogre and just don't show up at all afterwards. Rinko's there, and then there's Tosuke. Okay. I don't mind him becoming Beast. Even if I wasn't fond of him as a character, he kind of had to show up again because he was sort of part of the cast. But just him showing up oh, I found Chimera off screen, it's just feels unearned, feels cheap, especially since him giving up Chimera was such a big part of the finale and stuff. But he's actually a lot more tolerable in how he's acting in regards to Koyomi and wanting Haruto to not fight him. Feels more like a concerned friend not wanting the other friend to deal with their trauma. And, Junpei's also a lot more toned down by comparison. Saying, quote-unquote, contributes in the most deus ex machina things that I'll get to later. And the Ogre Phantom exists. He has zero character whatsoever, no explanation for where he was before the series, and probably gets treated to the worst curb stomp a movie war villain has ever seen. No, it is at least good, decently explained, seeing as how the final fight takes place in Haruto's own dream. I forget how they more or less call it. But it makes sense, but it's not really that he is the main focus of the conflict here. It's between Koyomi and Haruto. And, she shows off. She does a lot to make up for her real lack of screen time and just not doing much. much, and the actress does get a lot to do here, and the final overall send off to her character, I think, is really solid. It's hard to just leave her inside. Hey man, oh my god, that just sounded horrible. Why did I say it like that? Why did I say inside of her god? But I think it's also, this is one of the issue is, the wizard portion is very much a self-contained narrative. This could have been like an epilogue episode released to TV, and because the story wraps, Ogre is killed, and that is the end of his story. And then the main villains from the Gaim portion show up, kidnap Kosuke, and that's how Haruto gets shot into the Gaim story. So, let's get to that portion. So Gaim was the 15th Heisei Kamen Rider, which also technically meant it more or less was the season to match up how many Showa era there were. And that would make a terrible crossover movie that sucks. It was awful and I hated it. It's so garbage. But you want to know what else was associated with the number 15? The Warring States. And Gaim takes some inspiration from the period. So through weird things, Gaim, Kota, Michi, Kaito, and Mai end up in this alternate world where all 15 Heisei Kamen Riders essentially make up 15 warring states as Bujin Riders. What are they and who are they exactly? Never explained. But there's a new Bujin Rider who's more or less set to make the balance of power completely tip in his side. Bujin Gaim in blood orange arms. Give credit where credit's due. I do think this form actually looks really. It is basically just the Gaim suit, just recolored red, but it gives a more menacing feel. Anywho, he's trying to more let's kill all the rebels and gain their power. So we have this side story that, I don't mind. You have a side story that involves past writers that feel like they're in the thing, but in an actual film, but most of the other Bujin writers are off screen or amount to nothing. And darling, if you cannot get actors who sound similar enough to the original actors to replace them, or you can't get the actors back in the first place, just use voiced lines, like voice lines from the series, or keep them voiceless. It makes it less obvious you couldn't get the actor back. And there's some decent fan service, like the Lords of Double and O's factions are the secondary Riz's need. The why Wizards faction, which is the main faction we focus on, is Kosuke's actor is, I don't know, it's not like he was particularly busy with the wizard portion or anything, I guess, but this is gonna be a problem with a lot of like the Gaim portions, in that they offer really neat ideas and concepts, but it's not enough for essentially half an hour of material. Because Kaito has an entire portion of his story dedicated to just becoming the O's faction's new leader. That doesn't go anywhere because, again, side story. Kota beats him and more or less he agrees to help them deal with the big issue of Bujin Gaim, and Bujin Gaim is not a character. It's the same issue with Finn. And we learn nothing about him, who he is by extension what the Bujin Riders are. He is evil because evil. And you would think more or less this would mean more to Kota, since it could be like a dark reflection, but no. He feels sad after Michi gets eaten up and he blames himself. Then Mai and Haruto show up to lift him back up for a pep talk and prepare themselves for the final confrontation with Bujin. And I will give this. This is probably the most impactful interaction between a current and past writer that the movie wars have had. Instead of just, oh hi, I'm Kamen Rider Grizzly. Oh, I'm Kamen Rider Grizzly. Yeah, let's go beat that monster up. Yeah. It's still not much and not a true replacement for a crossover, but it's actually like interacting and more or less, propping the other up to more or less stand by. Now, I will give it credit there. Oh, and Takatora is here too because like, he's one of the 4 main writers of the show, so, he kind of has to show up for this anthem. Let's give. Thus, new toys. Toys because Bujin Gaim becomes a giant CG monster for the other 14 Bujin powers. It becomes a giant lotus. Or it might just be the worst final form of villainous taken, but not my shows up, and the Gaim Core Tech gains new new powers to fight the villains in the first usage of legacy forms, which are not particularly the best. They surprisingly make some decent usage out of it and some cameo stuff, sans Gaim Wizard arms that doesn't really do much, all things considered. Oh yeah, Infinity Dragon style from Magic Land shows up. Because, you know the deal. Here's CGI explosions, riders flying through and then kicking the monster to death. Go Rester. Here's teaser for new generation riders and thing to allow Kosuke to continue to be a rider if he continues to show up. Spoiler, he doesn't show up after this. This isn't the worst movie war, but it's the most forgettable, all things considered. It's not terrible, and there's nothing really of merit here outside if you really wanted to see the end to Wizard's story and some closure on it. It's not bad, it's just there. It's more or less like it's like Eternal and Skull. Oh, it's not doing much for either series, sans probably Wizard if you wanted to see the finale to that. And now we have the summer film about football. Or soccer for us Americans. Despite the soccer theme the film is going for, it ends up being fairly standard fare for a lot of these summer movies. The film starts with Koza fighting off some Inves in a more ruined-looking Zawami than I think the show ever had. Budget, but consistency is still a thing. When he comes upon a weird young lad who questions him about a football. He explains the goals in a way to play the game, and the kid decides to base his dream world off of by walking off. And then Kota finds himself in an alternate Sawame city that has been invaded by football fever, where instead of dancing, they now play soccer, and they fight for the grand prize of the golden. He initially enjoys the world, but something special. It would be weird if the worlds were not innately fit, but yeah. So it is sort of like taking Gaim as the whole series and condensing it into a film. The first portion of the film is like Gaim's initial arc, being lighter and soft. Before we're delving into darker things. And unlike the dancing from the main show, they really kind of go all out. There's notable Japanese football players. Zawami gets a big Rio de Janeiro make all over for the whole thing, and and the characters more or less are much lighter, like Kaito being your friendly rival, or Takatora's team of new gen riders wanting to take over the world of soccer. Now, again, as stated, that it more or less immediately shifts mid-point when a bunch of people start to go, a little crazy to say. At least then, after that, it's standard writer affair with a new villain somehow tied to the series. Lord being unleashed, and now the heroes have to stop it. In this case, Kogan, nay, an artificial golden fruit that's unleashed into the world and begins corrupting as corruption does go. How about, he's fine, if a little forgettable, all things considered. And then there's Lapis, who also exists. Again, I stated this earlier, but the problem with a lot of Gaim's material is that it invents new lore and doesn't develop it well, or just doesn't do anything. Like, Michi retains his memory from the previous world, and more or less since he hasn't gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in this new world, he's kind of more less understandably shocked at what he did, or I guess he is, since he's initially trying to beat those, and then Sakura just shows up for a big lore dump about Lapis and Koga, and how they tie into the other lords. But again, it's just stuff that's there that doesn't do much, and that's just the thing. The film has some good, interesting, like, more of our red is a good thing, and Takatora getting vengeance against Sid for the main time. Line, but it's a standard writer. Here we get new warnings to sell for later. There, I like the way the Kogane suit initially explodes into gold, and Kamuro looks nice before it ends up becoming a soccer ball, like a nice regal rider form of Reg. Dude, but God, am I gonna get sick of Mars' suit. Yeah, Kogane suit, which is more or less called Mars after a point, because oh my god, this suit gets used way too much, all things considered. But yeah, I know I haven't talked much, but this film is really not much, all considered. The Kota plus the soccer world versions of the people he knows defeats Kogane. Lapis returns him to his world, and he just ignores it. Never mentions what he just witnessed, and just brings up Kogane when he returns for the epilogue. It's a very by-the-numbers film that just doesn't do much, all things considered, and yeah, these are probably the least harmful of the films. They're just there. There's not much to them. I mean, I probably wasted a whole lot of your time, but it's a lot better than what's about to come. So, yeah, the usual things: comment, subscribe, leave likes, hit the bell. Follow the numerous social media platforms I'm part of, and I'm gonna go enjoy happiness before I have to feel sad.